Imagine looking at a rock and realizing it might rewrite everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. Not just any rock, but one found on Mars, riddled with strange dark spots and patterns so eerily familiar, they immediately reminded scientists of microbial fossils seen here on Earth. This isn't science fiction. These formations were captured by NASA's Perseverance rover in a region of the Red Planet, once covered by lakes and rivers. And what the rover found embedded in Martian clay could very well be the first real sign that we're not alone. But let's step back. How close are we really to confirming alien life? In recent months, NASA has quietly confirmed that one of its rock samples, dubbed Sapphire Canyon, contains chemical structures that closely match fossilized biosignatures. Those are the preserved traces of life forms that once lived. Now the agency is using words like potential biosignature and organic carbon reaction fronts. That's not casual terminology. It's cautious, scientific speak for something extraordinary. If these patterns, informally nicknamed leopard spots and moon seeds, are what they appear to be, we might be looking at the remnants of microorganisms that lived in Martian mud over 3 billion years ago. And the most unsettling part, every non-biological explanation for how these features formed has so far failed to fully account for what's been found. It all started when Perseverance drilled into a light-colored, fine-grained rock formation within the ancient river delta of Jezero Crater, an area believed to have once been a thriving lake system. What it uncovered was a geological fingerprint, unlike anything previously seen on Mars. Under magnification, the rock's surface revealed intricate mineral clusters, especially rich in iron and sulfur, consistent with environments shaped by water and potentially by life. NASA scientists immediately flagged this sample as high priority, not just for analysis on Mars, but for eventual return to Earth in the coming decades. But this isn't just a curious science project. If confirmed, this discovery would be the first direct evidence of extraterrestrial life. That would not only shake the foundations of biology, but philosophy, religion, and geopolitics. Because suddenly, life wouldn't be unique to Earth, it would be a cosmic phenomenon. And the red planet long thought to be dead and dry might just be the ancient sibling we never truly understood. But how reliable is this evidence? And why hasn't NASA already declared a breakthrough? Let's explore the science behind the signals, the instruments involved, and the reason scientists are both excited and cautious about what comes next. Could these Martian leopard spots be the fossilized remains of alien microbes, or are we seeing something far more mundane but deceivingly familiar? The answer may redefine our place in the universe. To understand what NASA is truly dealing with, we need to look at how Perseverance made this discovery and why the scientific community is taking it so seriously. The rover is equipped with an advanced suite of instruments designed not just to study the Martian surface, but to specifically look for ancient biosignatures, chemical, structural, or textural clues left behind by microbial life. In this case, two key tools came into play: Pixel and Sherlock. Pixel is a precision X-ray fluorescence spectrometer capable of mapping the elemental composition of rocks at microscopic scales. Sherlock, on the other hand, uses ultraviolet lasers to identify organic compounds and determine mineral structures. When these instruments focused on the now famous Sapphire Canyon sample, they detected a combination of minerals that would raise eyebrows in any Earth-based lab. The two major players were vivianite and greigite minerals that on Earth typically form in watery environments rich in biological activity. But that wasn't the smoking gun. What really triggered excitement was the presence of chemical gradients, what scientists call reaction fronts, at the edges of the dark spots. These gradients suggest that the minerals had interacted with organic carbon, forming distinct zones that are often a byproduct of microbial metabolism. That's a pattern we see in stromatolites and other microbial fossils here on Earth. Initially, researchers tried to explain the patterns with non-biological mechanisms. Maybe they were caused by heat-acidic conditions or purely chemical reactions within the rock. But none of these theories held up. The sample showed no signs of having been exposed to extreme heat and no definitive traces of the kind of acids that would be necessary to trigger those formations without life. Dr. Michael Thies from Texas A&M, a co-author on the internal NASA analysis, publicly stated, if this holds, we have to seriously consider that these features were produced by bacteria-like organisms living in Martian mud. Still, the word if looms large. Scientists are trained to be conservative, especially when dealing with claims as monumental as life beyond Earth. So rather than making a direct announcement, NASA has opted for careful phrasing, classifying the evidence at a mid-level on their internal life detection scale, a system that ranges from vague indications to full biological confirmation. That's why they've chosen not to call it life just yet. Because in science, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Proof that can only come from Earth-based labs, where tools like electron microscopes, isotope analysis, and DNA-level forensics can be applied to the sample. And therein lies the current bottleneck, the Mars sample return mission. Without it, we're looking at data from afar, unable to definitively prove what we've found. Still, the implications of these findings are enough to reignite an old debate. Are we witnessing the first silent whispers of Martian biology, or are we just seeing geological coincidence dressed up in familiar shapes? The core of the controversy isn't just what was found, but what it might mean if it's true. Because if even one of these Martian leopard spots is biological in origin, it changes everything. It means life isn't a cosmic fluke, exclusive to Earth. It's a recurring event, ready to emerge wherever the right conditions exist. And the deeper implication, we might be the anomaly for having taken so long to find others. But here's where the debate gets messy. Critics argue that jumping to conclusions about life on Mars is premature and potentially dangerous, scientifically, politically, and even philosophically. Skeptics insist that the patterns found in the Jezero Crater could be the result of purely abiotic geochemical processes we simply don't fully understand yet. After all, Mars isn't Earth. Its chemical environment, radiation levels, and atmospheric history are drastically different. Could it be that we're projecting Earth-based interpretations onto alien terrain? It wouldn't be the first time. In fact, a similar wave of excitement occurred in 1976 during NASA's Viking missions, when one of the landers conducted an experiment that led to gas emissions from Martian soil after being mixed with nutrients. At the time, it was heralded as possible evidence of life. But further investigation revealed that reactive chemicals in the soil, likely perchlorates, could have mimicked the behavior without any living organisms. That disappointment still haunts many researchers today, and it's one reason why NASA remains cautious. But history has a funny way of circling back. Because unlike the Viking era, today's instruments are far more precise. And what Perseverance is uncovering isn't just one anomaly, it's a pattern appearing in context, embedded in ancient lakebed sediments that geologists agree once supported water-based ecosystems. And here's another twist: the timing of these Martian conditions is incredibly telling. The period in which Mars had flowing rivers, lakes, and potentially oceans, roughly 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, coincides with the exact era when life on Earth was beginning to emerge. In other words, life could have arisen independently on two neighboring planets at the same time. That's not coincidence, that's a cosmic pattern. Some astrobiologists even go further, suggesting that life may not have started on Earth at all. There's a fringe but growing theory called panspermia, which suggests that microbial life could have originated on Mars, hitchhiked to Earth on a meteorite after an asteroid impact, and seeded our planet long before we evolved. Suddenly, Mars isn't just a barren rock, it's potentially our birthplace. And there's more. If microbial life once existed on Mars, could it still exist underground, shielded from radiation in salt caverns or ice pockets? Could the red planet still be alive in ways we haven't yet detected? These are no longer wild science fiction questions. They're now plausible research directives at NASA, ESA, and other space agencies. Yet despite the data, public awareness remains surprisingly low. Why isn't this on every headline, every news banner? Part of the reason is bureaucratic. NASA's communication strategy is risk-averse. They fear repeating past overhype. Another part is psychological. Many people aren't ready to face the existential implications of life beyond Earth. But the data is building quietly, persistently. The Sapphire Canyon rock might be just one of many already collected and sealed in titanium tubes on Mars, waiting for the day a return mission brings them home. When that happens, potentially in the early 2030s, humanity could be staring at ancient alien life under a microscope for the first time. And this time, there may be no denying it. So what happens next? For now, the evidence remains locked away both literally and figuratively. The samples Perseverance has collected, including the now famous Sapphire Canyon core, are scattered across the Martian surface in sealed containers. They sit there like buried time capsules, awaiting a mission, unlike any before a multi-agency, multi-billion-dollar plan to retrieve Martian rocks and bring them back to Earth. But that mission, known as Mars Sample Return, is still years, possibly decades away from execution. It would require a small rocket to launch from the Martian surface, an orbiting spacecraft to capture the samples, and a return capsule capable of surviving re-entry. It's one of the most complex engineering challenges ever attempted. Yet the motivation is clear. What if these samples confirm what the instruments are already whispering, that Mars once hosted life? That question is so enormous, so transformative, that it transcends science itself. It touches everything: theology, politics, identity. If Earth isn't the only place where life emerged, then the universe isn't indifferent. It's fertile. And that would demand a complete reassessment of humanity's role in the cosmos. But even if the final verdict remains years away, something has already changed. For the first time, we're not just speculating about Martian life. We're detecting signs, real measurable physical signs, that strongly suggest it may have existed. And those signs are preserved in rock, in chemistry, in patterns that mirror the microbial life we know. The scientific community is now caught between two forces: the need for rigorous caution and the deep instinctual pull of discovery. But for the rest of us, watching from Earth, the question lingers like static in the background. Are we looking at the remnants of life, or just the illusion of it? And more provocatively, if we do confirm that life once existed on Mars, how will we handle what comes next? Will it unite us in awe? Will it divide us in fear? Or will it simply pass by another headline in a world already too full of noise? The rover has done its job. The evidence is there. The question is, are we ready to hear the answer?